Go ahead.
I freely and cheerfully acknowledge that I am of the African race, and in that color which is natural to them of the deepest dye.
Stop. What's he saying? What did James Brown say? I'm black and I'm proud. Say it up. Can you imagine? What's the year, sweetheart?
1791.
1791. He is admitting to a powerful, powerful white man who the whole system of government revolves around, that I'm proud of who I am. That's not even Malcolm X. That's huge. Because most blacks who rise to the intellectual level of Benjamin Banneker are in some way trying to distance themselves. Mulattoes trying to distance themselves from those slaves they see as in some way a danger, not just to their identity, but to their very survival. Uh-huh.
I lost my place, I'm sorry.
You know what?
And it is under a sense of the most profound gratitude to the supreme ruler of the universe that I now confess to you that I am not under that state of tyrannical thraldom and inhuman captivity to which many of my brethren are doomed, but I have from that abundantly tasted of the fruition of those blessings which proceeded from that free and unequal liberty with which you are favored.
Stop. What's he saying?
I thank God that I am a free man and not a slave.
I'm going to take you home with me. Not only is he invoking the language of the enemy, he is also invoking the faith of the enemy, assuming that both will in some way allow this letter to get closer than others have. He's writing the letter to the Secretary of State. Who is the Secretary of State at this point? Yes. Thomas Jefferson. About to be the president. Now, what does Thomas Jefferson say to him? Anybody know? He says, "Dear Ben, thank you for your letter, read it, liked it, and I wish that I could believe that the acumen you have shown is possible for the rest of your race. I don't believe that. But look, I know Pierre L'Enfant, who is getting ready to put together and draw out and construct the city of Washington, D.C. I hear you're a surveyor. I'm going to mention his name to you, or mention your name to him, and see if he can't get you a job. Thank you for writing. Sincerely, T.J." Now, that's the portion of this that has me questioning the ability, the real ability of Benjamin Banneker. Because if he assisted in laying out the city of Washington, D.C., I don't have much respect for him. Every day I drive through that town. Here's Connecticut, here's New York, here's Rhode Island, and oh, there's 14th, and there's 12th, and there, and there. Oh my goodness, it is the most, you need a navigation system just to get around Washington, D.C. So let's assume that he did a better job and they messed it up after Banneker did what he did. Did she do a good job? Please, please, please thank all of them for helping to read. Thank you all.
Yes. They knew that smart people would be driving in D.C.
Say again?
They knew that smart people would be driving in D.C.
Well, I've made the point that I wanted to make. Thank you for involving yourselves in that. Our time is almost over, and I wanted to leave some time to answer any questions or to hear any comments from you. The whole idea of this was to, in some way, suggest that there is gold and treasures and gems in these primary documents if you simply take the time. I know that there are a bunch of documents, and I've only suggested 3. But what have we learned from those 3? And what might we learn if we just spend some time with one document and then educate ourselves so that as we talk about that one document, we can bring in all kinds of information. Thank goodness I have a reservoir of information from which I can draw. And as we begin to talk about these things, I can sort of share that reservoir with you. That's what I think good interpreters do. That's what I think good historians do. And as we begin to think about public education and public interaction and how best to do it, finding ways to make these stories and other stories, many of which I'm sure you already know about, is vital if we are going to stand the test of what's out there now. I think that the reason, I'll talk a little bit about this tomorrow also at the keynote, I think that people are in some way clamoring for identity. I think they are clamoring for engagement. I think they want to see where they belong and how they fit. And finding ways, documents like this, and suggest connections, and suggest perceptions, and ways of thinking that are not traditional, I think becomes a very important thing to do as we think about narratives and master narratives of our history and how they need to be adjusted so that they include everybody.